What's up, guys? Welcome back to Fishing Kingdom. Today I'm going to talk about my new Pelican Power Catch 100. I'm very excited to use this new kayak. One, because I got this 360 seat, which I did not have before in my previous kayak. So I found myself always reaching awkwardly over my kayak when I was trying to use my outboard or trolling motor, and that will no longer be an issue. Other reason is I got this big stout motor mount on the back, which most kayaks don't have something like that. So this allows you to put something with a little more power, like the NT300 right here. The NT300 is a very amazing motor. I use it to power my John boat all the time. I love it. And I want to put it on this Pelican Catch kayak because it's capable of handling it. So the first issue I ran into is the fact that they have a 3-prong outlet. Now, I guess I can connect a new D plug to a 3-prong outlet and then go straight to the motor. That's fine, but I don't feel comfortable using a 10 gauge wire. You can tell it's a lot thinner than the factory 8 gauge wire that you have with like the NT300. So I don't want to run a thin cable to a thick cable because that doesn't sound efficient with converting power. Also, I'd feel more comfortable running a 36-volt battery through the front of the kayak on a cable that's not 10 gauge, again, like a thick cable. Another issue is look how small these lugs are. Your average lug size that fits on a 12-volt, 24, or 36-volt battery is a lot bigger than these small lugs. These small lugs literally won't fit anything except maybe some kind of fish finder battery. But even then, why would you make them two different sizes? Just really confusing to me. Doesn't make sense, especially if you're going to be running this no matter what on some kind of battery for the back of the boat. So to fix this issue, I'm going to instead push these through, open this hatch up. I took the bag out already, access the cables and take these out, and then feed my new cables through this hole. If I, for whatever reason, can't fit my new cables, the 8 gauge cables, through this hole, I'm going to drill another hole instead and replace it and make this hole obsolete. So to fix this issue of having no cable back here, to feed this cable to the front, I'm actually going to take my flathead, I'm going to pop this cap off, take a 1-ounce sinker, tied some braid to it, I'm going to put it through this hole, and then I'm going to kind of tilt the kayak so that it falls down here, and then I'm going to lift the kayak up till the sinker eventually falls to the end or the front of the kayak. So if you look at the front of the kayak up here, once the sinker falls out, I could access it then by hand, and I'll have this braided sinker at the front of the kayak. I could then use that same end where the braid is going into the kayak. I can cut this off and then tie on my new lugs for the cable and pull my cable through from the front of the kayak. So first things first, I'm going to take a flathead screwdriver and I'm going to take that to the cap on the back of the kayak, and I'm just going to wedge my flathead under that cap, and I'm going to kind of wiggle really hard, kind of go around that cap, and eventually it's just going to pop off. Use your cap. Now I'm going to tilt this kayak and I'm going to feed this through the kayak, and we're going to see if we can get this sinker to the other side. For me, after I got this cap popped off, The cable I'm using is going to be fine for going through there. However, I want it to have a grommet, and the grommet I want to use is just the grommet I'm going to have. It's for a 1-inch drill hole, so I'm going to use a little bit bigger hole. And that same thing goes for the front. Just simply because I need it for my cable. Again, you don't need to actually do this. You could use the existing holes with the right grommet. So I'm going to take a look. So I'm going to make the 1-inch hole right here. Make sure this is not correct. So I drilled a 1-inch hole right here, and then I put my grommet. I don't recommend that. I didn't realize how thick the Kayak is, so really having these like thin areas in the hole is a lot better to use a grommet on, because this thing took me a good 5 minutes to put on. I was getting pretty frustrated. But I'm going to redo this again. I'm going to show you how I fed my cable. I'm going to show you how I fed my cable to the front of the Kayak and out. So again, I got a 1-ounce sinker, I got some braid, sticking it through my hole. Basically, you're just gonna drop this thing until it falls to the front. Here. Now I got my sinker on the front. That means my tag end is right here. My tag end and the braid is where I'm going to actually tie on my new cable. Show this area. So now I tied my braid, the tag end of the braid where I dropped the sinker, to the lugs that I'm going to be feeding with my new cable. I'm going to go ahead and stick that through my new hole. The idea now, this is where it's going to get a little tricky. I'm going to take my sinker end of the braid, and I'm going to pull that cable through. So if this works correctly, this cable should go through. I can already feel it stuck. So I'm going to kind of feed it little by little until I get that desired cable length I want. Okay, I can feel it. It's stuck again. There it is. I fished my lugs out.
Fine.
We'll get a little bit more. I gotta feed. So I guess if you want to run a cable to the back of the Kayak, 10 feet is the perfect length, because 10 feet leaves me right here, and once I put that motor on, you'll see it's going to be connected up here where if water is splashing down, at least my plug is up high. I'll show you in a second. Okay. So originally I was going to put my lugs through the existing hole, but I realized it's going to be kind of tight. So I'm going to add this 1-inch hole up here, and I'm going to go with it through it like this, and I just think it'll be a little better than trying to force it through this. You can make it work with existing holes. Unfortunately, it would involve cutting your existing cable to get the smaller side of that lug to get through this hole. If I didn't wire this first, there is, on the cables that I bought, they did come with smaller lugs. Enough of that. we'll go ahead and drill. Make sure you don't have this wire behind it in the way. We'll go about right here. I got my hole, nice clean hole. Put my new grommet in. So now that I got my 1-inch hole, I got my grommet. I'll go ahead and stick my grommet in there. Now be aware, these kayaks are made very thick, which is great because that means I got confidence hitting rocks and stuff in the water, but it's a little hard to get these in, but once you get them in, they're really nice and snug. This one wasn't too bad. The one on the back was more of a challenge. It's nice to have like a little flathead screwdriver to kind of feed the grommet onto this thing correctly. It should feel really snug once it's on. You want to have each side of that little lip it has on both sides of the wall. So now that I got my rubber grommet on the hole, I'm going to go ahead and take my new 8-gauge cable and I'm going to stick my lugs through it from the back. So I need to do a better job. But once I got my cable through, you get the idea. So I hope you learned a bunch from watching this video. Definitely was a new experiment for me, but I'm very happy of how this part came out. I got my aftermarket D-plug. I got it basically fed through the back of the kayak with that grommet safely through the sides and coming out through the front of the kayak. If you could tell with your, can you see it? If you could tell, I put a second hole. That way I have really two options for power back there in case I ever change my mind, sell the kayak, or want to put some kind of light back there. And then I have it directly fed to my 36 volt 30 amp hour Newport battery. With it closed, you can see it looks sleek, doesn't have a cable laying out on the deck. Just simply feeds right here. And most importantly, does it work? Of course it does. You look down at the prop. We are golden. Just another view showing you that we are getting full voltage. We're getting 40.7 volts, which is perfectly normal on a fully charged battery, so we're showing no loss in the H-Gold cable. That is it. If you found this video very helpful or want to just see me use this kayak in action next time I'm out, make sure to subscribe for more videos just like this. Have a great fishing day, guys.